11 black actresses and singers who have transformed and you can't recognize today. What happens when the faces we once knew so well begin to tell an entirely different story? Decades of fame, pressure, personal battles, changing beauty standards, and simple passage of time have transformed some of black entertainment's most unforgettable women. From Janet Jackson and Toni Braxton to Bernadette Stanis, Jasmine Guy, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and more, their journeys reveal far more than a shocking then and now comparison. Behind every photograph is a story of survival, reinvention, and resilience. Which star's transformation will surprise you the most? Watch until the end, subscribe to Remembered Lives channel, and tell us in the comments which legendary woman you still remember most vividly from her early years. Janet Jackson. For more than 5 decades, Janet Jackson has lived under a level of public scrutiny few entertainers could withstand. Born into the famous Jackson family, she entered television as a child, appearing on The Jacksons' Good Times and Different Strokes. Yet Janet refused to remain simply Michael Jackson's younger sister. By the mid-1980s, she had taken greater control of her career, and control transformed her into an international star with an identity, sound, and visual style unmistakably her own. Her evolution became even more dramatic with Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation 1814, followed by Janet and the Velvet Rope. Across those eras, audiences watched her move from a youthful television performer into a confident woman who used fashion, choreography, fitness, and increasingly mature songwriting to redefine herself. Her appearance naturally changed with age and shifting styles, but claims that those changes prove specific cosmetic procedures should not be presented as fact without reliable confirmation. Then came one of the most difficult chapters of her career. The 2004 Super Bowl halftime controversy involving Justin Timberlake. In a brief exposure during their performance triggered enormous backlash against Jackson. Her music and videos reportedly faced reduced exposure on major platforms, and her public image suffered even though the incident lasted only seconds. Years later, the episode was widely reconsidered amid debates over race, sexism, and the unequal consequences faced by the two performers. Janet continued recording, touring, and rebuilding on her own terms. In 2019, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, confirming an influence extending far beyond record sales. She also became a mother in 2017, welcoming her son Isa at age 50. Now 60 in 2026, Janet naturally looks different from the young woman who dominated MTV decades ago. But reducing that transformation to appearance misses the larger story. The real change is endurance. A child star who became a global icon survived extraordinary scrutiny and continued standing after the industry around her repeatedly changed. Bernadette Stanis. For millions who grew up watching Good Times, Bernadette Stanis will always be remembered as Thelma Evans, the intelligent, stylish daughter whose warmth brought balance to one of television's most important black families. Born in Brooklyn, Stanis studied at Juilliard before landing the role that changed her life. When Good Times premiered in 1974, she was only 20 years old, yet she quickly became one of the most recognizable young black women on American television. The transcript correctly identifies Thelma as the role that transformed her public profile almost overnight. Her appearance also became part of her cultural impact. At a time when mainstream television still offered limited representations of black beauty, Thelma was presented as fashionable, confident, intelligent, and desirable. Stanis became a beauty icon for many viewers, although claims that Hollywood specifically forced her to maintain a particular appearance should be treated carefully unless supported by her own documented statements. After Good Times ended in 1979, Stanis never replicated the enormous weekly visibility of Thelma. But she did not simply disappear. She continued making television appearances and eventually became an author. Her books have explored relationships, finances, and family, including the deeply personal experience of caring for her mother who suffered from Alzheimer's disease. That chapter profoundly influenced her advocacy. Stanis has spoken publicly about Alzheimer's awareness and wrote The Last Night: A Caregiver's Journey Through Transition and Beyond, drawing from the emotional experience of losing her mother. Now 72 in 2026, Stanis naturally looks different from the 20-year-old audiences first met more than half a century ago. That should not be sensationalized as a mysterious transformation. The deeper change is more meaningful. The young actress, once celebrated primarily for beauty, matured into an author, caregiver, mother, and advocate. while Thelma Evans remained permanently embedded in Black television history. Toni Braxton. Few voices from 1990s R&B are as instantly recognizable as Toni Braxton's deep smoky contralto. When her self-titled debut album arrived in 1993, Braxton seemed to possess everything the music business promised: enormous sales, Grammy recognition, glamorous videos, and international fame. The album sold millions of copies, while songs including Another Sad Love Song and Breathe Again established her as a major star. Secrets followed in 1996, producing the monumental hit Unbreak My Heart. But behind that sophisticated image was a far more complicated reality. Despite tremendous record sales, Braxton filed for bankruptcy in 1998, following disputes involving her recording contract and finances. A second bankruptcy filing came in 2010. These were genuine documented setbacks, not manufactured celebrity tragedy. Her health created an even more personal challenge. Braxton revealed that she had been diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease that affected both her life and career. She has also discussed heart-related complications associated with the condition. Rather than retreat permanently, she became an advocate for lupus awareness while continuing to work. Across the decades, audiences have watched Braxton repeatedly change her styling from short hairstyles and elegant 1990s gowns to dramatically different fashion and beauty eras. But specific claims about cosmetic procedures should not be stated as fact unless Braxton herself has confirmed them. Aging, makeup, hairstyles, fitness, and photography can dramatically affect celebrity appearances. Professionally, she kept reinventing herself through albums, Broadway, acting, touring, and reality television. Particularly, Braxton Family Values. Her career has earned her 7 Grammy Awards. Now 58, in 2026, Toni Braxton represents far more than a dramatic then and now comparison. Behind the changing appearance is a woman who survived financial collapse, serious health challenges, and an unpredictable industry, and continued singing with the voice that made audiences stop and listen more than 30 years ago. Jasmine Guy. When Jasmine Guy appeared as Whitley Gilbert on A Different World, she created a character audiences could recognize almost instantly, from the southern accent to the elegant clothes and unforgettable confidence. Born in Boston and raised in Atlanta, Guy trained in dance before moving into professional performance. Her breakthrough arrived when A Different World evolved into one of the most important Black television series of its generation. From 1987 to 1993, Guy transformed Whitley from a privileged, sometimes superficial college student into a layered young woman confronting love, race, adulthood, and responsibility. Her chemistry with Kadeem Hardison's Dwayne Wayne became central to the series, and Guy won multiple NOACP Image Awards for her performance. Yet A Different World represented only part of her talent. Guy was also a dancer, singer, director, and stage performer. She released a self-titled album in 1990, and later appeared in projects including Harlem Nights, The Vampire Diaries, Dead Like Me, and numerous theatrical productions. Her life also included periods when she was less visible in mainstream Hollywood. That should not automatically be framed as professional collapse. Guy continued working across television and theater while also dedicating time to family and creative projects outside the celebrity spotlight. Over more than 3 decades, her appearance naturally evolved. Comparing the glamorous young Whitley of the late 1980s with Guy today creates a striking then and now contrast. But there is no responsible reason to turn normal aging into claims about drastic alteration without evidence. Now 64, in 2026, Guy carries something her younger self could not yet possess: decades of experience. The transformation is therefore bigger than photographs. Whitley Gilbert made Jasmine Guy a television icon, but longevity revealed the artist behind the character, a performer who continued dancing, acting, directing, and creating long after Hillman College closed its fictional doors. Lonette McKee. When Lonette McKee appeared in Sparkle in 1976, audiences encountered a performer who seemed capable of commanding both a movie screen and a musical stage. Playing Sister Williams, the eldest of 3 singing sisters, McKee delivered one of the film's most memorable performances. Her character's glamorous rise and devastating decline gave the young actress an opportunity to display emotional intensity as well as musical ability. Born in Detroit in 1954, McKee developed her talents early and pursued music alongside acting. Her distinctive presence eventually led to an unusually varied career spanning film, television, Broadway, songwriting and performance. After Sparkle, she appeared in movies including The Cotton Club, Brewster's Millions, Jungle Fever and Malcolm X, working with filmmakers such as Francis Ford Coppola and Spike Lee. Broadway provided another important stage. McKee earned critical recognition for her theatrical work, including a Tony Award nomination for Showboat. Her ability to move between dramatic acting and music separated her from performers confined to a single medium. The transcript frames McKee's changing image as evidence that she had to continuously reshape herself because Hollywood struggled with her racial identity and appearance. That interpretation should be handled cautiously. Industry discrimination against black and biracial actresses is historically well documented, but specific motives attributed to executives require direct evidence. McKee eventually became more selective about mainstream screen appearances while maintaining her connection to creative work and education. Her reduced Hollywood visibility should therefore not be mistaken for simply disappearing. Now 72, in 2026, she inevitably looks different from the 22-year-old woman audiences saw in Sparkle 50 years ago. But Lonette McKee's most important transformation cannot be measured in photographs. She evolved from a striking young screen discovery into a veteran multidisciplinary artist whose work crossed music, Broadway, film, and generations. Jackie Harry. For millions of television viewers, Jackie Harry will forever be associated with Sandra Clark, the glamorous, flirtatious neighbor whose entrance could instantly transform an episode of 227. Born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina and raised in New York City, Harry initially worked as a teacher before pursuing acting professionally. Her theatrical background prepared her for television, but 227, which premiered in 1985, turned her into a household name. Sandra was outrageous, confident, fashionable, and deliberately larger than life. Harry's comic timing made the character unforgettable, and in 1987 she won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, becoming the first black woman to win that category. Years later, another generation discovered her as Lisa Landry, the adoptive mother of Tia Mowry's character on the hit sitcom Sister Sister. Unlike performers whose careers became tied permanently to one decade, Harry kept working. She appeared across sitcoms, movies, stage productions, and reality television before joining the long-running soap opera Days of Our Lives as Paulina Price in 2021. The role demonstrated her ability to remain relevant nearly 4 decades after Sandra first captivated audiences. Now 70 in 2026, Harry naturally looks different from the glamorous 30-something actress remembered from 227. Hairstyles, fashion, makeup, and age have changed across the decades, but there is no reason to turn those differences into unsupported claims about cosmetic transformation. What remains remarkably familiar is her personality. The humor, confidence, and unmistakable voice are still there. Jackie Harry's real transformation is therefore not about becoming unrecognizable. It is about longevity, from teacher to Broadway performer, Emmy-winning sitcom star, television mother, and soap veteran. The face matured, the industry changed, but Jackie somehow kept finding another stage. Candy Staton. Few careers demonstrate survival as powerfully as that of Candy Staton. Born in Alabama in 1940, Staton began singing gospel before establishing herself as one of Southern soul's most emotionally expressive voices. Her early secular recordings included interpretations such as Stand By Your Man, but international recognition grew dramatically through songs that combined danceable rhythms with painful emotional truths. The defining example arrived with Young Hearts Run Free in 1976. Beneath its infectious disco-influenced sound was something deeply personal. Staton has publicly connected the song's emotional meaning to an abusive relationship she experienced. Her personal life included multiple marriages and periods of instability, giving some of her most powerful performances a weight that went far beyond studio technique. The transcript correctly recognizes that adversity became an important part of her journey. By the early 1980s, Staton shifted heavily toward gospel music, placing faith and personal rebuilding above maintaining the same mainstream pop trajectory. But her secular career was not finished. Later generations rediscovered her voice, particularly through dance music. The 1986 recording You Got the Love later famously associated with The Source featuring Candy Staton developed enduring popularity and repeatedly returned to public attention. Her later life brought another major challenge. In 2018, Staton revealed that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She underwent treatment and subsequently continued her musical journey. Now 86, in 2026, comparing Staton with photographs from her 1970s prime, inevitably reveals dramatic changes brought by more than half a century of life. But focusing only on appearance misses the extraordinary story. Candy Staton survived abusive relationships, changing musical eras, illness, and an industry famous for forgetting yesterday's stars. Her voice aged, her appearance evolved, yet the emotional honesty that made people listen never disappeared. Sheryl Lee Ralph. Sheryl Lee Ralph's transformation may be the most remarkable on this list because her greatest wave of television recognition arrived decades after Hollywood first discovered her talent. Born in Connecticut and raised partly in Jamaica, Ralph developed interests in performance early and graduated from Rutgers University before establishing herself professionally. Her breakthrough came on Broadway in 1981, when she originated the role of Dina Jones in Dreamgirls. The performance earned Ralph a Tony Award nomination and established her as a formidable singer and actress. Yet becoming a celebrated Broadway performer did not automatically guarantee equivalent opportunities in Hollywood. Ralph kept moving. She appeared in films and television, and became especially familiar to 1990s audiences as Dee Mitchell on Moesha. Rather than disappearing when one era ended, she built a career across theater, music, film, television, and advocacy. She also became a longtime activist around HIV/AIDS awareness, founding the Diva Foundation. Then more than 40 years after Dreamgirls, another extraordinary chapter began. As veteran teacher Barbara Howard in Abbott Elementary, Ralph reached an entirely new generation. In 2022, she won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. Her emotional acceptance speech, beginning with a powerful sung passage, became one of the ceremony's defining moments. Now 69, in 2026, Ralph naturally looks different from the young Broadway performer audiences encountered in the early 1980s. But describing her as simply unrecognizable misses what makes her evolution extraordinary. Hollywood often celebrates youth and instant success. Ralph's journey challenged both ideas. Her appearance changed across more than 4 decades, but her career did something even more impressive: it expanded. Instead of becoming a memory from Dreamgirls or Moesha, Sheryl Lee Ralph reached her late 60s as an Emmy-winning television star, proof that sometimes the most powerful transformation is finally receiving the recognition that was deserved all along. Gloria Hendry. Gloria Hendry emerged during a turning point in Hollywood when black actresses were finally gaining greater visibility, but were still fighting against narrow expectations. Born in Florida in 1949 and raised in New Jersey, Hendry worked as a model and Playboy bunny before pursuing acting. Her early credits included For Love of Ivy, but her defining breakthrough came in 1973, with Live and Let Die starring Roger Moore as James Bond. As CIA agent Rosie Carver, Hendry made history as the first black woman portrayed as a romantic partner of James Bond. At a time when interracial romance remained controversial on American screens, seeing a black actress sharing intimate scenes with one of cinema's most famous white heroes carried genuine cultural significance. Yet that landmark appearance did not guarantee unlimited opportunities. Hendry became prominent during the blaxploitation era, appearing in films including Black Caesar Slaughter's Big Ripoff and Black Belt Jones. These productions offered black actors greater visibility and stronger characters, but the genre could also restrict performers within particular roles. As the movement declined toward the end of the 1970s, Hendry's major film appearances became less frequent. Over subsequent decades, she maintained a much lower public profile, while occasionally returning to acting and participating in events celebrating classic cinema. The transcript suggests her changing appearance reflected continuous industry pressure, but there is insufficient evidence to attribute specific physical changes to Hollywood demands. Now 77, in 2026, Hendry inevitably looks different from the young woman audiences discovered more than 50 years ago. But age should never be mistaken for decline. Her real transformation stretches from pioneering Bond actress to veteran survivor of a complicated Hollywood era. The youthful Rosie Carver changed with time, but Hendry's place in film history did not. Brenda Sykes. There was a quiet intensity about Brenda Sykes that distinguished her from many performers emerging during the turbulent transition of American cinema in the early 1970s. Born in Louisiana in 1949, Sykes entered Hollywood when opportunities for black actresses were expanding, yet genuine leading roles remained frustratingly limited. Her early breakthrough came with director William Wyler's 1970 drama, The Liberation of L.B. Jones, a film confronting racism and violence in the American South. Sykes subsequently became a familiar presence in 1970s cinema through movies including Skin Game, Black Gun, Cleopatra Jones, and Mandingo. Her poised screen presence made her particularly recognizable during the period when black-oriented filmmaking was reaching increasingly large audiences. But visibility did not necessarily mean long-term security. Like many black actresses of her generation, Sykes worked within an industry where substantial roles could appear suddenly and disappear just as quickly. By the end of the decade, her screen career had slowed considerably. The transcript interprets this decline through Hollywood's racial and beauty standards, but specific claims that she personally altered herself to satisfy casting executives are not sufficiently documented. Her personal life also connected her with an influential figure in black music and literature. Sykes married poet and musician Gil Scott-Heron, best known for works including The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. They became parents to daughter Gia before their marriage eventually ended. Unlike performers who spent decades pursuing continued celebrity, Sykes largely withdrew from Hollywood and lived much more privately. That decision explains why younger audiences may barely recognize the woman behind those striking 1970s performances. Now 77 in 2026, Sykes naturally bears little resemblance to photographs taken when she was in her 20s. Yet her story should not be framed as losing beauty. It is about time, privacy, and a woman who stepped away while her younger image remained permanently preserved on film. Jeanne Bell. Long before mainstream American entertainment routinely celebrated black beauty, Jeanne Bell, widely known as Jeannie Bell, was helping challenge the boundaries of representation. Born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1944, Bell entered modeling during the 1960s, when black women still faced enormous obstacles in major magazines, advertising, and Hollywood. Her most important early milestone came through Playboy. The transcript incorrectly describes Bell as the first black woman to appear on the magazine's cover in October 1969. In fact, she became Playmate of the Month for October 1969 and was the second black woman to receive that distinction following Jennifer Jackson. Bell later appeared on a Playboy cover alongside other Playmates. Keeping that distinction accurate does not diminish the significance of her achievement. Her visibility soon opened opportunities in film. During the 1970s, Bell appeared in movies including Trouble Man, TNT, Jackson, and 3, The Hard Way. Her combination of athleticism, confidence, and glamour made her well-suited to the action-oriented black cinema flourishing during that period. But the era was filled with contradictions. Black actresses were becoming more visible, yet beauty and sexuality often determined how studios marketed them. Bell benefited from doors that were finally opening while simultaneously working within an industry that still offered black women a restricted range of opportunities. Eventually, she moved away from the intense visibility surrounding her modeling and acting years. There is no solid basis for sensational claims that cosmetic procedures or some dramatic physical transformation caused her later appearance. Now 81 in 2026, Bell naturally looks dramatically different from the young woman photographed more than 5 decades earlier. And that distinction matters. Jeanne Bell did not need to remain frozen in 1969 to preserve her legacy. Her youthful image captured one moment in history, surviving aging, and living beyond that image became another. These women remind us that transformation is about far more than appearance. From Janet Jackson and Toni Braxton to Sheryl Lee, Ralph Byrne, Nadette Stanis, and Gloria Hendry, each traveled through decades of changing beauty standards, career challenges, personal struggles, and an entertainment industry that did not always offer black women equal opportunities. Some stepped away from the spotlight while others reinvented themselves and found remarkable success later in life. Their faces may have changed with time, but their achievements remain. So here's the question: Which transformation surprised you the most, and do you believe Hollywood places unfair pressure on women to remain youthful? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Remembered Lives channel for more unforgettable stories.